me give you the plot of the story.
All right.
So the book is it takes you from like him being a teenager and first learning how to ride a bike, which one of the things that he tried a lot of sports, and he was like really tiny. He was a little young guy, and he realized that he couldn't play football because he was too small. He was not fast enough to play soccer, so he was introduced to running, and he really liked to run, and he ran a lot. And then he got his first bike, and he realized that he was faster on the bike than normal people. And so he started to ride the bike, and he started entering contests on these dirt tracks, riding bicycles. And like I said, that took him to a point where he became one of the best riders in the United States. And of course, long story short, he used the bike to win numerous Tour de France's, a lot of races here in the United States. And then, of course, he got testicular cancer, and he was told that he was not going to make it. And he put a lot of, hard work and effort into beating cancer, and he was able to beat cancer, and he was able to get back onto the bike and win a couple more Tour de France's. And of course, at the time of me reading that story, it was motivational to me because I'm a sports person, and I know that sports can be a microcosm of life, and a lot of the things you may go through in sports can help you with your regular life.
All right. Was there any more characters in the story, Mr. Lee?
Yeah, there were many other characters in the story. They talked about some of the other riders. They talked about his mom, and they talked about his wife, who he was married to at the time, who helped nurse him back to good health. They talked about his doctor, who was one of the main characters in the story, who was talking about how Lance's body was different from other people's body, how he responded to the treatment. And again, of course, a lot of the other riders who were his nemesis, they talked about them as well in the story.
All right. Mr. Lee, was there more in the story, and if there was, what was it?
Well, the moral of the story is that, in life you will get knocked down, and you will have to get back up. And we always talk about, one of the things we talk about all the time is that even if you put a bike down for a long period of time, you don't forget how to ride. You can fall, and you can still get back up and still learn how to ride. And that's how you got to look at life. Life is going to be the same way. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to get knocked back. But you don't ever forget how to continue life. You have to continue on. You have to push on. And it's second nature to you. It should be second nature to you.
All right, Mr. Lee. What was the setting of the story?
Setting took place in different places. Took place in France. The setting took place here in the United States, actually in the Appalachian Mountains, which I know about. I've been to Boone a couple times for football games. And they talk about the trails of him riding up through the trails in the Appalachian Mountains. And then they also talk about him riding in France for the Tour de France.
All right. And what was the climax of the story?
Climax of the story is, again, him beating cancer and then getting back onto the bike and winning several more Tour de France's after he was diagnosed with testicular cancer.
All right. So, how did you identify with the characters in the story?
Well, I identify with the character because myself, I played basketball in college, and I actually tore my ACL, and it was one of those things where you go from hanging with the kids, being able to get up and go play whenever you want to the fact that you can't do anything, and it's depressing. And so I kind of identify with Lance when he was going through, his cancer treatment and not being able to get back on the bike and not being able to do the things that he had took for granted, pretty much all your life. So I was able to identify with that because of the fact that, of course, with my ACL surgery, I was out for a good almost a year where I couldn't actually play sports. So, and that was the first time that it ever happened to me. And it takes you for a loop because, like I said, these are things that you take for granted.
Okay. Last question. Who would you recommend the story to?
I would recommend the story to anybody who's going through any adversity in life, just to let them understand that you're not the only person who's going through adversity. And adversity is the only thing that's going to keep you, that will make you stronger as a person if you put your mind and your effort and will to becoming the best at what you do.
Alright. Thank you for the interview, Mr. Lee. And I'd just like to say, is there anything else you want to say?
Well, I appreciate you coming in and taking the time to interview me and asking me about a story that's dear to me. Thank you.
Okay.